You're going to enjoy this, Atomic. It's very nerdy.
Yeah, it is. It's extremely nerdy. Right. So, in terms of numbering, myself, I'm number 1. Atomic, you're number 2. Deadpool, you're number 3. Cap, you're number 4. And Tebro will be the last number. At the moment, that's 5, but he'll shift to 6 if we get an extra person. So, is everyone happy with that? So, for those who aren't familiar, I like to do this thing where every time I ask you if you have any questions or if you're happy with something, you simply say your number. If you got a question, ask the question. If I answer it correctly, then state your number, and then it goes through. So it should sound like, are there any questions? 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice and quick, nice and easy. So, is everyone happy with that?
2.
Hard work, innit, Blood? It's fucking hard work.
Deadpool, you're number 3. Can you speak? We're not getting any sound out of you.
3.
There we go. Much better. 5. Marvellous. Right. Is everybody on the spreadsheet entitled 10th of July 2019 anti-ship strike?
2. 3.
4.
5.
Marvellous. So, let's go on, everyone, on to slide 2. So the scope for today is very quickly going to run through the lessons learned from last time, what we've done to fix them, the overview of the plan, what we need to do in order to set the aircraft up, the procedures you're going to do between aircraft setup and takeoff, what you need to be doing in flight, and finally the procedures you need to follow in the final moments before you launch the weapons. So, on to slide 3, everybody. So, the lessons learned for last time is we failed to track movement of the ships, leading to an incorrect target waypoint, meaning a load of our missiles missed. We poorly placed M4, BX, 6 and 7 points due to initial lack of knowledge about what the ship was. We didn't have enough time for the aircraft setup, which was also overly complicated, and I felt like I didn't give enough time to explain how you're actually going to fly in order to follow the TOT system. So the first 3, you don't have to worry about too much. I have simplified the behind-the-scenes process, but I've also reduced some of the checks we're going to have to do, and I'm going to go through in a little bit more detail how to use the TOT system. So if everybody's happy with that, we're going to go on to the overview of the plan, which is slide 4. So we're going to take off from Sakumi. We're going to each follow our individual waypoints, because we each have a separate data cartridge. And we're going to attempt to attack the ships, which we know are located by Batumi Harbour from multiple directions. And we're going to synchronize our weapons and have them sequenced, so we have hopefully missile impacts every 5 seconds. This should mean that if some ships are sunk, then the missiles have time to reacquire new targets. Okay, is everybody happy with that so far?
2. 3.
4.
5.
So if everyone goes on to slide 6, we're going to go through the setup process when you get into the aircraft. So first of all, initial aircraft setup. The aircraft is going to be hot started, which means most of the startup is all done for you. Your system will be in nav, which will cause your nav system to generate lots of errors over time. So you need to switch it to master mode BER. You then need to arm your aircraft with the central fuel tank and 2 RB-15s. Then, on your left-hand side, insert the data cartridge into the slot and tune the radio to 124 Alpha Mike. Although I think that might have changed, Cap, since I wrote this.
Roger, they boys know how to do it, yeah.
Okay, we'll go through the exact frequency in a moment once we've done the main brief, but you just need to tune to that so we can actually talk to each other. At this point, it's important you stop and do nothing further. Don't think, I'll just do this bit in the process. Stop, we have to do this methodically, otherwise it's going to go out of sync, someone will get something wrong, and this will fail. All of these steps are going to be in some knee boards, which I'll send to you afterwards, so you'll have the whole process written down. Should be fairly easy to follow. Is everybody happy so far?
2. 3.
We've missed out the kneeboard, but loading up the correct cartridge from the kneeboard.
That's going to come in a moment.
Roger, 4.
5.
Okay, on to slide 7, the cartridge setup. So once we're all on the radio and I have given you instructions to proceed with this step, you are to go and put the cartridge file into saved games DCS AGS37. We might actually do that bit beforehand, but if not, that's where you need. Then, in the kneeboard, navigate to the ground crew page. Use Control-Shift-C to select the data cartridge, which will be named RB-15 Anti-Ship Wingman X. X is your number. Then close the kneeboard unless you're using it for the checklists. Enter 9099 with ref Lola and in. Confirm with LS. This will load the data cartridge into your computer system. Once you see all zeros on the display, act pause out. Inform me you've completed that process, and importantly, stop. Once, if we go on to slides 8 and 9, they will provide, there's just some nice pictures of what you should see in your cockpit. You can use those for reference later. I won't go through them. It's the same process, just with pictures. So once, if everyone goes to now slide 10, once everybody has completed the cartridge setup, we're going to set the time on target system up. So once I tell you to proceed, select TID and in. Enter the time on target into the data pad, and that's just hours, minutes, seconds. Currently, we don't know what that time will be, as we don't know the start of the mission, but I will tell you at the appropriate time. You then need to confirm this by pressing BX and then 8 on the data panel. Again, stop, inform me you've completed the time on target setup, and yeah. So if you go look on slide 11, again, there's a picture there that shows you where all those buttons are located. You can use that in your own time as reference should you not know where to put things. And next on to slide 12, the actual weapon setup itself. Once I tell you to proceed with the weapon setup, you're going to put weapon selector to attack, the weapon release mode switch to impulse, that's the down position, the RB15 release mode switch to valve, that's the up position. Then enter 8, 4 zeros, and 2 into tact. Confirm with LS. Finally, select TID and out. At this point, stop and wait until and tell me that your weapon setup is complete. So, are there any questions on the aircraft setup stage?
Four has a question. At which stage are we doing the kneeboard? Because we did that before the cartridge last time, before we put the cartridge in. If you go to slide 7, can you see the cartridge setup? I say the second thing to do is place the cartridge file into Safety Games DCS HGS37, and that whole process is loading up the data card into your system. But do we have to do this before we actually put the cartridge in the virtual Viggen?
No.
Oh. Okay, that's changed. Fine.
You don't even have to put it in the Viggen.
Yeah, but it's safe to put it in.
Yeah, fine.
Yep. Okay, how much time we got? Okay. Right, now on to the pre-takeoff procedures. So if everyone goes to slide 14, if you have completed the previous setup correctly, this is what will be displayed on your CK37 data output. As you can see here, you've got a blank digit on the left, and then 00219. What this means is you got 0 hours, 2 minutes, 19 seconds until takeoff. The blank digit on the left-hand side means you are ahead of schedule, i.e. the takeoff is in the future. If there is a 9 there, that means the takeoff is in the past. If you have a 9, this likely means you have done something incorrectly in the setup phase. If that happens, let me know, we'll try and fix it. If everyone can now progress to slide 15. So you have 2 key moments you need to worry about. Firstly, 10 minutes before takeoff. You need, when your display shows, it will be a blank digit 01000, so for 10 minutes. Inform me that that's the case, and then start taxiing to the runway holding point. Crucially, do not overtake aircraft that have already started taxiing before you. This is because they will be ahead of you in the takeoff order, and if you try and overtake them, you'll be in the wrong order when you get to the holding point. And once you do arrive at the holding point, just stop on the right-hand side behind other aircraft. This means that if we do need to swap order, people could just go on the left-hand side and swap around. Then there's 2 minutes before takeoff. You need to inform me 2 minutes, and you're proceeding to the runway. Taxi onto the runway, master mode to nav to get your HUD up, and then when the display shows all zeros, you take off. I recommend the people who are going first, that would be Tebro. You need to taxi maybe about 200 meters into the runway, because we're going to be taking off within about 90 seconds of each other, so it's going to be quite rapid once we start taking off. So you're going to need to leave room behind you for others to take the runway. If we go to slide 16, then you can see here is just the layout of Sakumi Airfield. We'll be in parking over on the left-hand side here on the western edge. We're going to be taking off on runway 30, and we're going to all the way to the end of the runway, to the holding point there.
The takeoff order on slide 17 will be in reverse order. So aircraft 6, or in this case aircraft 5, will be taking off first, followed by 4, 3, 2, and then myself. Excellent. That is the pre-flight, pre-takeoff procedures. Are there any questions?
2,
3,
4,
5.
Marvellous. So now we've got the in-flight procedures. This is where things get a little bit trickier. So if everyone goes to slide 19, you're going to have to cycle between 3 different tasks. First of all, following navigation instructions. I trust everybody is able to do that, and no one's unfamiliar with the nav system. You then need to maintain 100 meters above sea level throughout the entire flight. And then crucially, the third one is minimize the time on target error. This is the trickier one that I imagine that many of you are less familiar with. So if we go to slide 20, this is how the TOT system works. As long as you've done the previous setup correctly, you'll get this display where at the moment you can see there's a blank digit on the left and then some more digits after that. Again, it's in an hour, minute, second format. The left-hand digit tells you whether you're ahead or behind time. If it's blank, you're ahead of time. That means you've gone too quickly and you need to slow down. If there's a 9, that means you're behind schedule. You're going to have to increase your speed in order to catch up. If you go to slide 21, you can see what the display will look like if you are behind schedule. So you can see there's a 9 there. We've got a 5 on the right-hand side. That means you're 5 seconds behind schedule. If it's displaying all zeros, correction, a blank digit on the left and the rest zeros, this means that you are on schedule. That's what you're aiming for that display to have blank on the left and the rest zeros. So is everyone happy with that so far?
2,
3.
4's got a problem. We seem to have missed the bit where we set the max for the different waypoints, the Mach speed.
As I said, I simplified the process. That is all done in the data cartridge now.
Oh, nice.
3, another question, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
The air pressure during takeoff, will it be constant, and will this go for 100 meters above sea level, or is this something...
Say again.
QFE.
UNH is set because the plane is hot started, so they'll be set correctly.
And
Okay.
amazingly, when you enter the new data cartridge, it also changes your QFE for you. So that's quite nice.
What?
Yeah, it's magic.
You bastards.
All right, 3 then.
4.
5.
2.
Excellent. So this is where I've tried to make life hopefully a little bit easier. If you go on to slide 22, I've made this chart, which will be in the kneeboard, which I'll show you how to enter it all in, which shows you the speed you need to aim at if given a certain time on target error. So the system is expecting you to fly Mach 0.7 for the whole thing. But if you happen to take off a bit quickly, and I will tell you for a fact that your display will tell you you're ahead of time after you take off, you're going to have to adjust your speed accordingly to try and get that TOT error back to where it should be. So imagine for a moment you are 21 seconds ahead of schedule. You just simply go onto here, add TOT error, plus 20 seconds at the top. What speed do I need to go? Mach 0.5. Also on the right-hand column, it will remind you what the left-hand digit will mean if you're ahead or behind schedule. So if you forget in flight, like shit, is 9 ahead or behind, you can look at this chart to remind you. So given that, slide 23, it's quiz time. So what you're going to see here is a series of questions. On the left-hand side is going to be a Mach meter from an aircraft, and on the right-hand side is going to be a TOT display. If you go to slide 24, you will need to tell me, first of all, what the TOT error is, whether you're ahead or behind, the Mach indicator, and then answer 3 questions. Firstly, what is the target Mach that you should be aiming for? Second, and that's an example question. I'll go through this, and then you've got potentially 6 questions you might not do more because of time. Then also TOT error, is it increasing, decreasing? How quickly? Is it bad? Is it okay? And third of all, how should you change the throttle? Do you need to go full power in order to correct this, or is it maybe just a small change? So in this case, the TOT error is you're 29 seconds behind schedule. You're currently going Mach 0.7. The target Mach is Mach 0.9 from the chart. The TOT error is actually staying the same because we're aiming for 0.7. We're currently doing 0.7. So we're not going ahead or behind schedule here. We're staying as we are. And in order to change this, I'd probably go full power to get us up as quickly as possible into Mach 0.9 and then just lower the throttle once you hit that point.
Okay, if everyone's happy with that, we've got question 1, and I want number 3 to answer.
Okay. Target Mach. This basically means you are a bit too quick on the road, for 35 seconds ahead of things. So your target Mach should be round about what you have at the moment. That is 0.5. Throttle setting, I guess, decrease it very ever so slightly.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, so the chart is a rough guide. If you're 0.01 Mach out, don't worry about it. But yeah, slightly decrease, spot on. So, question 2, I want number 5 to.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Great. Okay, I'm 2 seconds late, and I am. My target Mach is 0.7. I'm almost at it, so I would speed up to 0.75 until that comes down to 0, and then lower it back down to 7.
Okay, and how much throttle would you set?
Let's see. I'll probably go stage 1 afterburner for the speed up.
Yep, bang on. Okay, number 3, because I can see Cap is gagging to answer a question. Go.
It's the same one that was already done, but we're currently going Mach 0.55. We're currently behind schedule by 2.9 seconds, and we're going to keep falling further behind schedule by the looks of things. So our time on target error is 29 seconds behind, and I'm going to quickly scoot over here and say that our we need to increase to Mach 0.9 relative to altitude. And which page was I on? Sorry, which question was I? I lost my page. Question 3. And how much throttle setting? I need a large increase in throttle to increase up to Mach 0.9.
Splendid. And Atomic, you haven't answered one yet. I want you to answer question 6.
Question 6.
It's 4.
That's slide 30.
Oh, okay.
Roger. So you're on target. You're on speed there in terms of timing. So your target Mach, you want to get up to 0.7. So I'm probably going to stage 1 and push a little bit further than 7 just to maintain the zeros.
Okay, but you can't accelerate instantaneously. So imagine you've accelerated up to 0.7. What's the TOT going to display?
It's going to be back, so I'll probably go up to 0.75 or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. That went a lot smoother than I was expecting it to, so I'm hoping today we're going to have an awesome flight. We're going to get lots of missiles to land exactly when they're supposed to, and nothing will go wrong. Unfortunately, it's not done just yet. We've got attack procedures. So this is fairly simple. If you go to slide 32, 2 key steps you need to remember. Again, these are kneeboards, so you can have a quick look at those while we're waiting. Firstly, actions you've got to do between B3 and your release point of M4. You need to, A, reduce the TOT error as much as practical. Hopefully, you've already reduced it a fair amount by this point. You need to continue flying at 100 meters above sea level. And the most important thing is you need to put your master mode to ANF. If you fail the top 2 things, yeah, it'll still hit, but it'll just not be on time. If you do if you don't do the third one, it will just completely miss. So remember, master mode ANF. Then, when you reach the release point, you need to unsafe the trigger, hold it for 3 seconds. The first missile, you'll feel it come off. You then need to do a jink to the right. It doesn't have to be much, maybe 5-10 degrees. Level off, pull the trigger again. Fired last light will display. Go to nav. This will mean you'll get L1 on your nav system. Return to base. Are there any questions?
Yeah. When are we firing? M4? At M4?
Yes. If you go to slide 33, I anticipated this. You can see this is what your HUD, your instruments will display when you need to release. You can see M4 on the waypoint indicator there, and you can see you're about to reach the waypoint. You may be a kilometer before. Doesn't matter if you're a kilometer or so out. You're traveling so quickly, it doesn't make a great deal. So when you see it's just about to hit 0, pull that trigger for 3 seconds, release it after the missiles come off, do your jink, pull the trigger again, release it, go home.
Question. Blood doesn't believe in contingencies, but I do because I'm a realist. So what happened last time was a couple of the guys couldn't get the missiles off the rail. They fucked something up, their altitudes, their whatever. So what I'd say is do all this. If the missile doesn't come off the rail, which could happen, smack the valve B switch off and fire dumb fire. Agreed? Was that
So
there's actually quite a few steps to get it into dumbfire because of where we are at the where we put it
really?
in.
Because it's just Val B, isn't it?
You have to go into nav.
First of all, you need to put your selector to act, pause, and out. You then need to select BX8 because you're not going to be aiming at the target when you fire. You'll actually be aiming off way to the side because the missiles will follow a set of waypoints to get to the target. You then need to put it in nav, as Atomic said, then point towards BX8, then fire the thing off. So it's unfortunately a little bit involved to do the simple process at this stage because we've set so many things up for you.
All right. Is it worth writing down the procedure in case, or is it going to be too complex to do on the drive?
I have sufficient confidence that this will work, he says.
I just can't realise why Trash couldn't get his missiles working.
I think I know why. You know, I said that the BX 6, 7, and 8 points were all screwed before because we didn't know where it was. We had to kind of guess, and we guessed wrong, basically. And it meant that I think his BX 6 or 7 points were just... also, if your missile has to turn too much, over 135 degrees, which is likely the case for him, it just won't fire. It just says no, can't do it. But because we know exactly where it is, I've written a program which automatically creates our data cartridges for us. This should no longer be a problem. We've tested it. It does work.
Roger. And we're dating up the data cartridge that's relevant to our flight number, yeah?
Yes.
Wicked.
And hopefully, if you look at the lovely diagram on slide 4, that should happen.
Awesome.
I've got a good feeling about this.
Free has got a question.
Questions are good.
You said L1 is landing point. Given that we have such an elaborate way in, our way home would be the direct retreat to...
Yeah, you can follow your waypoints back. The reason why we have this elaborate way in is twofold. Firstly, it gets us kind of aligned up with the bearing we need to release the missiles at, and second of all, it also gives us a bit of time to sort the TA.
Okay,
just turning straight north. Also a recommendation, I know it seems silly, but don't turn left, turn right. Because I have a suspicion, I think this will be okay, but this is going to be so synchronized, there's a chance if you turn left, you'll hit the guy next to you.
Bollocks.
If you do, that's spectacular. But
we're wasting time now, guys. Guys, when you head out, when you're still in the AO, stage 3 burn. Don't do an auntie and head out 500 knots, you'll get shot. Your only
stage 3.
Only protection in the Viggen is 800 knots.
I'd also recommend stick your autopilot on, the altitude hold 1, because if you try and do it yourself, you may over-control it and kill yourself. So stage 3 autopilot, you're out.
And nose is cold.
Yep, no, radars will not be turned on at any point during this. Okay, go to the main briefing. I will sort out all of the files that you need to put in.